Early in the Middle Ages, kings and rulers in Europe were fast beginning to lose power. Invasions from the Vikings, Muslims, and the Magyars made it difficult to keep law and order in place. People needed protection, and in their need for shelter, a new system of feudalism evolved. Feudalism was a loose system of rule where powerful lords divided their land holdings among lesser lords. In exchange, these lesser lords pledged their service and loyalty to the greater lord. At the top of the feudalism chart stood the kings. They managed and ruled over the entire empire. Below the kings came the lords or nobles, wealthy landowners who held power over vassals and peasants by offering protection. Faithful to the lords were the vassals or knights, who offered the lords their warring service in return for the land. Below the vassals were the peasants or serfs who did all the jobs and had their own piece of small land in return for protection from the manor where invaders came in. Manor, which included a large house with surrounding villages, was thoroughly self-sufficient. The serfs produced everything that the manor needed, from furniture to weapons. Serfs were taxed heavily. The lord would require a certain amount of money coming in from the estate. Knights were known for their chivalry, which on duty. A knight would always help a woman, and that was one of the unwritten laws of being a knight. No women were quite independent in their day, as their husband would be out defending their land. Mutual obligations were a big thing in feudalism. Lords and vassals had a feudal contract. The lord would give a vassal a fief of land in return for service. Vassals had fiefs from different lords, but there were lords that the vassals would first serve. Castles were fortified to prevent intruders from entering and lurk around the castle. The family that lived in the castle would also have a cellar that stored items in case of a siege. The economy was boosted by the agricultural evolution, with the introduction of iron plows as well as windmills. The windmills would keep the grains turning into flour, using wind energy. Previously, wooden plows were used, and they were not effective in the heavy spoils of Europe. However, the best thing that happened was the introduction of the three-field system. One field had grains, the other had legumes, such as peas and beans, and the last was unplanted. The decline of feudalism came, and rich nobles were allowed to pay for soldiers rather than to fight themselves. The threat of the mercenaries led to the employment of professional trained soldiers, the standing armies, and ultimately, the end of feudalism.